feel the need for speed.
Okay, here we have the KRAKEN. We're actually going to disassemble it now, get ready for boxing and shipping. We just want to show it in action. Right now we're about 94 volts, and so as you can see, here I'm using the throttle right now. There's the front going. Runs extremely well. Brakes have been adjusted, no noises. Alright, there's the brakes. Brand new brake pads are going to squeak a little bit to wear them in. They seat to the new rotor. Now we're going to do the rear. So I'm going to do a twist throttle for the rear. Again, there you go. Perfectly balanced. And then I just hit the brake. The brake has a cutoff on it. So both of them work very, very well. And so now we're going to do the first step is we're going to take the front tire off. So to do so, I want to first show the setup in here. Now we're going to have to cut. Got a tie wrap here. And then we're going to undo this. And we have a tie wrap here as well. So I'm going to actually cut 3 tie wraps. One here, one on the bottom, and then I'm going to take this black tape off so I can disconnect the phase wires. Okay, so that'll be the first step. Okay, I cut the 3 tie wraps off, got the black tape off. These will not be used on the front, the 5-pin and the pulse sensor. Now also I want to show the wiring. The colors, don't go by the colors, they're actually reversed. So from the motor side, the blue goes into the yellow, the green goes into the green, which is the center, and the yellow goes into the blue. So the yellow and blue have been reversed, so the tire can go forward. Okay, I also want to make another note. I cut the 3 zip ties off. The one zip tie that went around here, very important to have a zip tie very low, because as you see down in there, we want to have this wire away from the bolts that hold on the brake caliper. You see them down there? These bolts. And as it rotates, if this wire is not pulled away or strapped away and it's too close to the rotor, those bolt heads, as it's spinning, is going to eat into the wire. So very important that you, before you operate, to check this wire and tie wrap it back so that when you spin it, those bolts heads are not hitting this wire. Okay, so I just disconnected the motor, and then I put this Velcro wrap back on again to cover the other lead so we don't lose it. It's on the fork. Alright, so now the motor lead's disconnected. Now we're going to take off the torque arms. There are 2 torque arms on each side. So right now you can see it's kind of pointing forward. We're going to leave the clamps on and this torque arm. This will allow us to line it right back up. So we're not going to take these off. And you can go see on the other side, same exact thing. We're going to leave the 2 clamps on and this part of the torque arm connected to the fork. We're only going to what we're going to do to take the torque arm off, we're going to take off this screw and disconnect the torque arm pieces to separate them. So we're basically need a 5mm Allen wrench and a 10mm crescent. Same right here. Take the torque arm off. All we're going to do is remove that screw. Okay, I've taken the screw here out of the torque arm and I kind of rebolted it on the loose end. Did the exact same thing over here. So you can see, took it out of the centerpiece, the torque arm. Alright, now I want to make an extra note about the caliper. Once I loosen these, the motor will drop right out. But I want you to take note of the caliper. I've got 1 spacer on top here, and I have 2 silver spacers on the bottom of the caliper for the top. When you install the motor back on, you need to take these 2 bolts off, right here and here, and remove the caliper off the bike. Okay? So take the top part of the caliper on. You can leave the bar on. The reason is you don't want to fight the caliper and the motor. You can end up bending the rotor. So take the caliper off when you reinstall the motor. So right now I'm got these off. I'm going to unloosen both these nuts and the motor will drop out. Okay, just dropped the tire. I just loosened these and the tire has dropped off the fork. But I want to show something. Actually, we're going to have to go ahead and take this caliper off anyway before we drop it. You're not going to be able to pull the tire out. As you can see the caliper is in the way. So I'm going to take this caliper off right now. So go ahead and take the caliper off before you drop the motor. Okay, take this caliper off right now. Again, I can't even get the tire out because the caliper is in the way. Okay, I actually now removed the caliper. I'm going to go ahead and put it back with the spacers, the one spacer on the top, two spacers on the bottom. If you actually need to remove the caliper holder piece here that connects to the frame, I have 3 spacers. You can see those there, but there are 3 spacers in between right here. There's 3 here. You get a zoom there. And 3 down here on the bottom. Okay, 3 spacer washers on each if you need to take it off. Now we got the caliper back on, put the 2 spacer washers in here. This is ready for transport. You can see I got the clamps on both sides and this is already locked in place. So you'll just slide the motor axle back in here and the torque arms will line right up. Just slide the bolt through the hole on this torque arm. You can see the bolts left in here and that's it. Just bolt her down. You want to tighten these and then bolt it down, the torque arms, and it should be good to go. You could be able to plug the wires back in. Okay, another little note on the rotor side. So we've got the nut, we have a lock nut washer, we have the torque arm, and then after that there's this spacer. The spacer will go on the inside of the fork next to this plastic piece. So we don't want to have any pressure or tension on the plastic. We put this washer in there to kind of help protect that. On the other side, there is no spacer. The fork will drop right in here against this piece. Torque arm on the outside. This spacer is on the outside as well as the lock nut. Okay, so we have, that's how we've lined it up. No spacer here on the inside, but there is a spacer here on the inside to protect the plastic piece. Okay, and then torque arm on the outside. Next step, we're actually going to let the air out of the tires. We're going to remove the tire and the tube for shipping. The V tire, the white V, is actually on the brake side. The snowshoe, where it says Snowshoe XL, will be on the crankset side, crankset derailleur side. Okay, that's how you'll know. These are directionals, so make sure you have those lined up correctly. V white tire on the brake rotor side. Snowshoe XL on the crank side, or the derailleur side. I know I just repeat myself, but just want to make sure. Okay, we got the front tire off. Now we're going to be packaging up the rest of the bike. The only thing we're going to be removing is we're going to remove the handlebar off the stem. So we're going to have these 4 bolts and take the bar off. The cycle analyst also is going to be removed. And to do that, we're just going to take this 1 5mm Allen out. And it sits right underneath the cup. So the handlebar's off. We're going to remove both pedals. And of course we'll be just unclipping the seat. That is the rest of the bike. Everything else will remain intact. Charging up before we wrap her up. I want to go ahead and show how the charger works. Okay, right now you see 2 red lights on, and you can hear the fan. The fan is on. You can feel it too. The 2 red lights means it's charging. If you see 1 red light and 1 green light, it means it's charged, and the fan will shut off.